Right, it's Dom from BlackToad Studios here, joined by Tom as well, and we're part 2 of the Gorgan IV campaign. So, in this mission here, we have suffered casualties previously. Commissar Curtis, the traitor general, has escaped with General Waters. They've interrogated him and unfortunately they've executed him. But with the information they've gathered, they've been able to turn this rebellion into something a bit more formidable. So, the Imperial forces have sent from reinforcements and a large force of Astra Militarum and Space Marines are on their way to liberate this planet. But until they arrive, the Militarum Tempestus have to slow down this revolt and have to sabotage them at every step. So in this mission here, the Militarum Tempestus have seized the macro cannon that is guarding a military facility, and they're now currently holding it and waiting for reinforcements to come in. But Commissar Curtis has let on that he is in fact not alone in this revolt, and he has got a large band of Ork mercenaries with him. So the task here Commissar Curtis has put on to these greenskins is to retake the macro cannon and retake the facility. Also, if he kills all the Militarum Tempestus, that's a bit of a bonus. So that is the mission. He's got 5 turns to take and hold the macro cannon, and also for the Militarum Tempestus to hold it and to make sure no Ork or Traitor guard are on the building at the end of the game. So that is the mission. Are we able to complete it, or will the traitors take it, hold it, and definitely be a big thorn in the Imperium side? Alright, so let's have a look at the forces and see where we are. Right, so here we are. We have got 1400 points of Astra Militarum and Orks, and it's quite a big tide of green here. It's
indeed.
Awful lot of stuff here. So, Tom, do you want to run through what you've got here, starting with the Orks?
Yeah, so at the front,
yep.
We've got 4 squads, each with 20 in each. The only differences are as follows. We've got 2 Ork boys here, or knobs as I say,
yep.
With power claws.
Yep.
And then over this side, the 2 knobs on this side have got big choppers.
Big choppers
so
on
those
two there.
They've all got big shooters in the squads, as in 2 big shooters per squad.
Right, very nice. Okay. Right, so that big blob of troops.
Yeah, and then leading them is my war boss.
Yep.
And he's just got a power claw, that's it, and on the lucky stick.
Right, okay.
Yeah. 3 killer cannons in a group. Got Zika on this one.
Yep.
Big shooter on that one.
Right.
And rocket launcher on that one.
Very nice.
Other than that, as normal.
Okay.
Oh, no, actually, pardon me, they do all have extra armour.
All have extra armour.
Yep.
Very nice.
1 blitzer bomber.
Yep.
Yeah, and then, so that's the Orks' primary formation.
Okay, so then you've got Commissar Curtis,
who's leading the Allied detachment, so he's leading it. He's a Lord Commissar on this one.
Yep.
And then a squad of 10 veterans with 2 plasma guns and a heavy flamer.
Yep, very nice.
And then they will be inside the Valkyrie.
Valkyrie, and that has got missile pods?
Multiple rocket pods, sorry for me,
yeah.
And as normal, the multi-laser on the front. Yeah.
Right, okay, so very nice list there. A lot of targets. So let's move on to the Militarum Tempestus and see what they've got. Right, so here we are. We've got 1400 points of Militarum Tempestus. We've got the airborne formation here at the back with 4 Valkyries, 3 of which are armed with the missile pods, multi-lasers. Also got one here with a las cannon and Hellstrike rockets. And in that one, I've got my HQ squad here with 2 volley guns, a melter gun, a medic, commissar, and my leader there. Next to that, in this squad, we've got a melter gun and a volley gun with 7 men. Here we've got 6 men, 1 with a plasma gun with a melter gun. Over here we've got 7 men, volley gun and melter gun in that one as well. So going on to the front here, we've got 2 Torx primes with the Punisher Gatling cannons and auto cannons. Also, and in those squads we've got 5-man squads with a volley gun and a melter gun. So it isn't a bound list, but then again, it's not really that far off. So that is my 1400 points, and let's see what deployment looks like. Right, so here we are. We've got the battlefield as seen here. It's a very nice city board with military features here. We've got the Militarum Tempestus, so we've got one Orks Prime here holding the wall, and on the other side of the macro cannon we have another Orks Prime. Both are armed with the Punisher cannons, auto cannons, and they do have the guys on board. And in reserve, of course, we've got the airborne formation, which will hopefully turn up in turn 2. Across from them, though, we have this massive tide of green. These Orks are all over the place. I believe the only thing Tom has got in reserve is the Ork Flyer and, of course, Commissar Curtis with his veterans in the Valkyrie.
Indeed.
So it's quite an intimidating sight for these two Orks Primes to face down the board at. Right, so currently Tom will be going first, unless the Militarum Tempestus concedes, and here we go. They don't, so over to turn 1 for the Orks. Right, so turn 1 movement and shooting for Orks. Tom, do you want to run through what your Ork forces have done here?
Yes, essentially I decided there's nothing I'm going to shoot because everything's pretty much out of range or not worth doing. So I ran everything. So essentially this squad moved up, got a 12 on its run.
Yep.
Well, 12 with its run, I should say. It's got an 11, so
yep.
It's moved up just behind it. It's got a 2, so it's a little bit further behind, but pretty much there anyway. Can's got an 11-inch move,
yep.
And these guys got about, I think, an 8-inch move, didn't they? So
yeah. So it's pretty intimidating. Of course, there's going to be no assault this turn, so we're going to move straight on to Militarum Tempestus, turn 1. Right, okay, so Militarum Tempestus turn 1. So looking down the battlefield, they can see this massive tide of green heading towards them. So the Orks Primes using all their training here, and this one's kind of flanked around to the side to avoid any tank fire coming in from the kill cans. It's now lining up shots towards this mob of boys. Hopefully we can do something. The other one over there staying completely static at the moment, and also it's just going to open fire and hopefully hose down some Orks. We're just holding the line for now to see if the reinforcements turn up soon. So moving on to turn 1 shooting for Militarum Tempestus. Okay, Militarum Tempestus, turn 1 shooting, and the defenders over here fired volley guns, auto cannon shots, and barely did anything to the Ork mob coming up. If anything, it spurred the greenskins on to charge forwards. Same really for this one over here. The Gatling cannon firing shots down the street towards the greenskins, and not really doing a great deal. I think in total we only removed 5 or 6, so it's not a great amount. And we're now going to move on to turn 2 for the Orks. Right, so turn 2 for the Orks here, and I've kind of agreed with Tom that Ork running can go at the same time in the movement phase. It's just a lot easier moving them. So this squad here, they're kind of still charging up the road towards the Orks Prime. This one's kind of slightly behind at the moment. Also, the arrival of the Valkyrie has turned up here with Commissar Curtis and his bodyguards coming round over here. We've got the other 2 mobs of Orks coming up the battlefield through the ruins, and the kill cans are there as well at the moment, and also the jet, probably flying a little bit higher than that in reality, otherwise that could actually cause a few problems. So we're now going to move on to turn 2 shooting for the Orks, and let's see what they can do with all their Dakar. Right, so over here the Ork fighter fired super shooters down towards the Orks Prime. Luckily though, Orks cannot shoot for toffee. So a couple of shots hit, but we're unable to penetrate the Orks Prime. It's the first time for everything. So we're now going to move on to turn 2 for the Militarum Tempestus. See what we can do against all this green. So turn 2 for the Militarum Tempestus, and reinforcements have finally arrived. We've got all the Valkyries have come in over here. Hopefully lay down a bit of firepower on the Greenskin Tide. Also the squad that are embarked here have now disembarked and have gone into a little bit of cover and hoping to lay down a few shots over there. Elsewhere, over on the other side of the battlefield, we've got this Valkyrie here. Had a bit of a grav shoot insertion here, and this squad's kind of disembarked, luckily direct hit, so we're okay there. This squad have also disembarked, and we're kind of hoping to put a few melter shots into those kill cans while the Orks Prime will kind of redeem itself hopefully here and be able to take out a few of these greenskins and relieve the force slightly. So we're going to move on to shooting, and let's hope the Emperor is with these guys. Okay, so Militarum Tempestus turn 2 shooting, and a lot of shooting happened here. I mean, these guys fired into the Orc squad, killed a couple, as well as the Gatler from the Orks Prime, but most of the damage came from the air support, as was expected really. The missile pods hitting both squads, doing a tiny bit of damage to them, but this squad's been quite reduced in size at the front here. In the centre, this Valkyrie fired his las cannon over towards the Commissar's Valkyrie. It didn't jink, quite confident. Unfortunately though, it did hit and knocked out one of the rocket pods, so it's lost a whole point there. Moving over here. Firepower here from this Valkyrie, knocked out a lot of Orks down here. They passed a morale check after losing another one in a bit of a squabble. These guys both fired onto the kill cans, knocked one out, which is going to help a little bit there, knock out the front one, and this one fired its Gatler into this squad here and did a bit of damage. So, pretty good. Could have gone a lot worse, but could have gone a lot better as well. So we're not going to assault this turn, we're going to move on to turn 3 for the Traitor Guard and Orks and see what they can bring. Okay, so turn 3 for the Traitor Guard and Greenskins, and these guys are just surging forwards now, seeing the guys disembark, heading towards them. Also, Commissar Curtis and his veterans have disembarked from the now hovering Valkyrie and have embarked on the actual objective in the middle. Elsewhere, the rest of the boys are all kind of pushing forwards here through the ruins towards the now GC Militarum Tempestus and the 2 kill cans there. They're not in combat with the Valkyrie, they're just pushed up there. So we're now going to move on to shooting and see what the Greenskins and Traitors can do. Okay, turn 3 shooting for the Orks, and Tom's forces have declared their war. So these boys have all kind of surged forwards here, doing a run move. The Valkyrie here opened fire, scattered with the last remaining rocket pod miles off. The multi-laser though did kill 2 of these scions down there. The jet fired on Orks, hit but still unable to penetrate. Let's move around here slowly. It also did a bombing run on this Valkyrie here, but unfortunately didn't do anything. Elsewhere, let's have a look. The 2 kill cans fired onto this squad of scions here. One of the Grotzuka shots actually scattered back and hit itself, but didn't do anything, but kind of funny. Elsewhere, up here, the squad of veterans fired down onto this squad here, knocking out 2 guardsmen, but unfortunately the plasma guy up here did actually frizzle himself, so he's gone. So it was, yeah, not too bad a shooting phase for the Orks there. We're now going to move on to assault, and I'm sure it's going to get messy. Okay, so turn 3 assault for the Orks and Traitors, and as expected, the Orks did a lot of damage. They came in here, devastated this squad here. The War Boss's squad came in, wrecked the Orks there. over here. This squad is still in combat, 2 for 2, so they're holding their ground there, the Tempestus. These kill cans failed their charge, and this squad over here devastated the Orks Prime. So it's pretty hard going so far. Let's see what the Stormtroopers can do in their turn 3. Okay, so turn 3 for Militarum Tempestus, and it's getting a bit complicated now, so here we go. This Valkyrie over here, he has now gone into hover mode and disembarked this squad here. They've now got a bit of a line of sight onto that squad there. This Valkyrie over here is still in flight mode, and we did a drop shoot insertion, and we got a direct hit, and we are based there at the moment. The Valkyrie that jinked previously is kind of manoeuvred around. He's in hover mode. He's gone up on top of this landing platform, and he's kind of got a line of sight here, line of sight onto a couple other things for the next turn. My HQ squad disembarked, so this Valkyrie is also in hover mode, and it's currently manoeuvred itself around here. So we're going to let a bit of fire onto those Traitor Guard, and these two guys do a bit of a Black Hawk down. They're just standing there, they're holding their ground. Hopefully they'll draw a bit of fire and do a bit of shooting. So that is the movement phase. I'm going to move into shooting and hope that we get some decent luck here and some orders go off. So moving on to turn 3, shooting. Right, so turn 3. Yep, turn 3 shooting. What happened? This squad and the Valkyrie open fire onto the War Boss's squad. Caused a lot of casualties, but they passed their morale check. Over here as well, the squad fired into there, killed about 4 Orks off. They've also passed their morale. Unfortunately though, one of the rocket pods kind of scattered off and killed one of the volley gun guys. Also, this squad didn't do particularly well. I think we may kill one guardsman there. It's a bit embarrassing. This Valkyrie in hover mode fired as loud as can, and took out one of the kill cans, which then caused an explosion, and I think killed 2 Orks. Yeah, it killed 2 Orks in that explosion, so I kind of helped the guardsmen out there a little bit, the stormtroopers, sorry. And these guys fired off and killed 1 there. So not a great deal happened. We're going to move on to assault now in turn 3, and let's see if we can kill some greenskins. So turn 3 assault for the Militarum Tempestus, and they fought back against a squad of Orks, killing 1, but unfortunately the Orks just came in and just hammered the last couple of guys. So the Orks are now broken free there, probably eyeing up the hovering Valkyrie, trying to get involved with that. We're now going to move on to turn 4 for the Orks and Traitors. So turn 4 for the Orks and the Traitors. Their movement phase, the war boss is pushed up here, but before the jet flew off, it dropped a bomb and knocked out a large portion of this squad, and also took out the multi-laser on the hovering Valkyrie. Yeah. So this squad's now fleeing. These Orks have kind of pushed around. They're now eyeing up this squad here. What else have we got going on?
Around a bit,
yeah, they're shuffled round.
And then the cannon moves up to the edge here.
Yeah.
This squad moved over just to go this way, and then finally this squad's just moved around this way. But I don't think they're going to have much to do this turn.
No. So that is pretty much it. And we're now going to move on to turn 4 shooting. Let's see what the Traitors and Orks can do. Right, so turn 4 shooting for the Orks and Traitors. So what happened, multi-rocket came in and knocked out 2 of these guys. No shooting over here. The kill can tried to fire a rocket and missed because...
Probably hit his own boys, to be honest.
Maybe killed an Ork behind. So not much. And over here, they fired a couple of pistols at the Commissar, and they're preparing for an assault in the battlements. So we're now going to move on to assault and see if the Traitors can kill off the intruders, as it were. Right, so turn 4 combat for the Orks and Traitors, and it's not looking good for the Tempestus. And pretty much all of the combat went in the favour of the Orks here. Valkyrie's been destroyed here when the Orks charged in. This squad charged in, killed that squad. kill can over there, killed the 2 guardsmen in there, stormtroopers, sorry. The only thing that kind of went in favour, over here, the command squad against the Commissar Curtis, we killed 2 and they killed the Commissar there. So 1 combat by 1 and they passed their leadership. So that's pretty much it really. So we're going to move on to turn 4 for the stormtroopers to see what they can do, if they can bring back any kind of glory for themselves. So turn 4 for the Militarum Tempestus. It's really thin on the ground for the poor stormtroopers. This guy back here is fleeing. He's going to try and snap some shots off at the Ork war boss as he goes. And it's really come down to the flyboys here. The Valkyries are all kind of manoeuvring around now to try and help the poor commander and his the remnants of his squad that are holding the objective. And that is it really. We're going to move on to shooting now and see if we can do a little bit of damage, redeem ourselves somewhat. So moving on to turn 4 shooting for the Militarum Tempestus. So turn 4 shooting for the Militarum Tempestus, and the Valkyries all fired their rockets down here, completely devastating the squad of Ork boys there. So that's a small victory there, kind of a bit of relief for the remaining ground forces. And also this guy, he's just snap fired. Didn't do anything. Made himself a target, if anything. So we're going to move on to assault now and see if the command squad in the middle there can kind of redeem themselves somewhat. Right, so end of turn 4 Militarum Tempestus assault, and the fight continues. The Commissar struck down the commander, but the 2 guardsmen were able to kill off another veteran. So at the moment they're just holding in there. We're going to move on now to turn 5 for the Traitors and the Orks and see what happens. Turn 5 movement for the Orks, and the jet is back on. He's kind of flying up behind the hovering Valkyrie there elsewhere on the battlefield. Kill can's kind of coming back round, probably hoping for a couple of turns to take on this Valkyrie. These Orks are coming up, maybe sensing weakness in the Commissar and maybe trying to 2 birds and one stone and maybe take him out as well. Who knows? These Orks coming in towards this lone Tempestus scion, and the guys over there are just coming over the wrecked Taurox. Also, sorry, just to mention, this Valkyrie's still in hover mode. He's going to come around here. I think Tom's going to try and multi-laser him in the side. So we're going to move on to turn 5 shooting, and let's see what the Traitors can do. Turn 5 shooting for the Orks and the Traitor Guard, and what happened is that both of these flyers opened up onto the Valkyrie, stunning it and knocking it down to 1 hull point. It didn't jink, but it's a snap fire next turn. Elsewhere, pretty much any other thing that happened, these Ork boys killed the poor fleeing scion, so that was it. So we're going to move on to assault. These guys moved up. We're going to move on to assault and see what Commissar Curtis can do. Turn 5 assault, and it carries on. 1 more scion died, but he's still holding on. He's not going to give up without a fight. So, brave man. We're going to move on to turn 5 for the Militarum Tempestus and see if we can bring a little bit of pain to the Orks and Traitors. So, turn 5 for the Militarum Tempestus, and everything turned around really. So these 2 are still in, that one's in flight mode, and these 2 are in hover mode, and they're just lining up these Orks for a bit of pain. Hopefully it will pay off, but the God Emperor hasn't really been shining down upon the Tempestus today, so maybe it's time for them to redeem themselves. We will find out in a second. Moving on to turn 5 shooting. At the end of turn 5 shooting for the Militarum Tempestus, 3 Valkyries killed 2 Orks. So we're now going to move on to Assault and see if we can do anything. Right, so at the end of turn 5 for the Militarum Tempestus and at the end of the mission, the remaining Scion that was in combat knocked out 1 guardsman, but as he did the killing blow, the Commissar just hacked him apart with his power sword. So unfortunately for the Imperial forces, the Traitors and Xenos are now holding the macro cannon. So when the Imperial reinforcements turn up, they're going to have a bit of a rough ride. So tune in next time for the next part of this campaign. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time.